Adjust your marketing and buying impressions based on where your customer is in their buying cycle.
Become the business leader your business needs you to be. Become a B2B beast.
So it's possible to burn out who is a potential customer on your brand before they move into their buying cycle. So just because somebody has zero interest right now, it could be for a million different reasons. They could be in a contract currently, they could have bigger projects or things on their plate, or a million other things. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't potentially revisit you, but the studies show that somewhere around 12 impressions per month actually starts having a negative impact on your brand if people aren't in the buying window, and then they're going to be less likely to buy from you when you come back around, right? So keep that in mind. So it might sound like a lot, but if you think about perhaps the person, maybe they're just connected on LinkedIn and they see general posts. Maybe you have a retargeting campaign and it's not specifying how many impressions, or maybe you have a pay-per-click campaign that's targeted to a certain geography or a certain company or whatever it might be. It can very easily hit that very quickly. And a good example of this is actually one that I've experienced recently with YouTube ads and Postmates and John Legend. And I've noticed the negative impact it's had on me, so I know that these statistics and this data is actually somewhat true there. So the idea there, I can just picture someone in Postmates saying, oh, we need to make sure that we get in front of their face as often as possible because we don't know when they're going to eat and we want to let them know. So literally right now, every other video is having a YouTube ad pop up, and it's usually the mid-roll or the post-roll credits where I can't actually say that I don't want to see this ad anymore. And that bothers me even more, that YouTube doesn't give me control over that particular thing. So I have a little bit negative. I'm a little bit less likely to use them overall because of that. I'm bothered by Postmates and even John Legend, nicest guy and probably a sweetheart and all that too, seems like. I'm so bothered each time I hear his voice come on because he's the first person to talk in that particular commercial. So keep that in mind. Some version of that is happening, even if it's not on a conscious level like it is for me right now. This is something that actually happens, and that will carry over. So maintain that. Keep in mind that overzealous impression burnout is real, and this carries over to sales also. So they can be burnt out through phone calls, and I feel like lots of managers might push, over communicate, talk as often as possible. But after a certain amount of impressions or calls or emails or voicemails, put a little gap in between there. Clearly, they're not in the right buying window, right? You want the person on the other end of your company there, the potential customer, not to think, oh, this person or this company is reaching out to me again. You should know their ideal timeline. If it's a salesperson and they're already in contact, you should ask the questions. You want them to be more likely to think, oh crap, I said I'd get back to them and I didn't. You don't want them to be ignoring and ditching you just because you're chasing them down too much. It's kind of like if you're asking someone out on a date multiple times per day, now you're needy and you're clingy and that sort of a thing too, right? So for now, just keep that in the back of your mind. How are you potentially burning people out on your brand? Is there any timing between when someone is at a zero interest part of their buying cycle? Maybe you should dip the impressions versus when they're moving on up. You can kick it up a little bit more. So keep that in mind, and have a good one, everyone.
Become a B2B beast.